Tired of feeling like you're spinning all the plates in your design business and at any moment they could all come crashing down? Are you feeling like you're so close to breaking through to the next level, but those consistent projects still aren't flowing your way? Are you ready to finally take your business from a hobby to 100K and beyond? Then welcome to the Six Figure Designer Podcast. I'm talking all the techniques you need in your design business to start paying yourself, get great clients, and finally break through that 5-figure ceiling. So hi everyone, thanks again for joining me for another episode of the podcast. I'm really excited to talk about this topic today, and it's all about, do you feel like you've hit a ceiling in your business? And I just want to say thanks for joining me. I'm Pam Durkin. I'm the closing coach for interior designers. And why am I called the closing coach? Because I am helping designers break through the ceilings in their own businesses. And we're going to be talking all about that in today's episode. But these are designers who never worked on projects more than 3,000 square feet, are now working on projects 12,000 square feet and above. Those who had only charged $5,000 for a project that didn't want is now charging $10,000 with a very comfortable approach of, I know it's worth it to me to take on this project. And if they decline it, I'm okay with it. So having that attitude change of, I'm okay, I know what I'm worth, and I know what I need to charge to make money and to feel good about this project and to follow it through the way that I know I need to, the way that I know I should as a professional. And hey, if they decline it, that's okay. Then they weren't the right client to begin with. That's what I'm helping designers with every day. I hear these stories day in and day out. So I want to help you with that as well. So if you want to get more whole house projects, bigger projects, start charging more, then you need to check out my Luxury Client Academy. It's my 9-month coaching experience where I help you get clarity on what kind of projects you should be going after. I help you triple your profits in 9 months. And we have an accountability element as well, where we meet bi-weekly and we're actually going over all the information that we've laid out together, the roadmap, and checking in on those goals and seeing where that is. We have a dashboard for that now, so you can check that at any time and really see your progress throughout the 9-month program. If you're interested in that, go ahead and check out the show notes. It has the website for the luxuryclientacademy.com, which can give you all the information about all the details about the Academy, as well as several bonuses that I have going on right now. So be sure to check it out. So let's kind of dive into today's topic a little bit. Do you feel like you've hit a ceiling in your business? Like, are you feeling like you just can't get those larger projects? You just can't find those clients who want to spend more? You're really having issues just like breaking out of maybe the 1 or 2 room projects or the $1,000, $5,000 design fees, and you really want to be getting to whole house projects, or you want to be charging more because you're just feeling like, honestly, not only do you not have the larger projects, but the projects that you have, the clients are really difficult. They're really questioning everything, every nickel, every dime, every hour that you bill for. They're wondering why things are taking so long. I had a designer tell a story the other day that said, I sent over an hourly bill and my client was like, well, you just reviewed plans. I could have done that in an hour. And then she proceeded to, vent about, well, wait, we looked at this and we looked at how the furniture related to the lighting, and we looked at how it was going to be interesting so that all rooms weren't the same and that the bathrooms had different types of lighting and all these other things. And she went over item after item after item. And she was asking, she's like, how do I address this with this client? What do I do here? And literally I said to her, all those things that you rattled off is exactly what you need to be sending back to them. It wasn't just, if you just wanted me to be like, take a cursory glance at it and look at the plan and say, yep, looks great, then why am I here, right? Why are you looking for an expert? Because as an expert and as a designer and as the professional, You're going to be getting into the details. Yeah, on the surface, everything looks like it's going to be fine until you really start to layer all the parts and pieces together. And then you realize, oh, this is going to be off because now there's a ceiling detail, but a longer table underneath, and all these other details that clients don't even know anything about. So if you're kind of running into this in your business, these are exactly the conversations that we're having in the Luxury Client Academy, going over all of these kind of details. And we can help you. I can help you work through this, craft that language of what you need to say or what you need to say when you're qualifying clients. So those expectations are being met right up front. So we know that if you just feel like you just can't get those larger projects and you're just taking on things just to pay the bills, that's the bigger issue, right? You can't just get to a point where you have no business and then you have to take on projects because it's an immediate need to keep the bills flowing. So we have to have a longer term goal, a longer term thought in terms of what are we going after and how are we going to effectively start to dovetail in these bigger projects, these better projects. And a lot of that comes from planning and then also some mindset shifts that are going to happen as you start to work through this process. You know, it can be a vicious cycle. You're working really hard on those small projects and doing everything you can to make these clients happy. And that takes up a lot of time, emotional time and physical time, right? And after bending over backwards, maybe they're questioning everything. And we talked about that. Why is this taking so long? Why do you have to charge me so much? Why am I getting this huge bill? And it's really disheartening. It's really frustrating. But because this takes up so much of your time, you're finishing projects only to panic and say, I need to grab something now. I need to fill something right away, which makes you pick up everything and anything that comes next. When the phone rings and somebody wants to hire you, you're like, yeah, let's go. And what happens there is you're not going through a detailed qualifying process, sort of understanding more information about the projects. And you're finding, which I bet some of you are, is that when you get into these, they're a lot more work than you're getting compensated for. They're really, really difficult clients. You're spending a lot more time trying to keep them happy. And then the cycle starts again. So how do you break through that cycle? How do you break through that ceiling of what you're doing now to get to that next level, whatever that next level looks for you? So I want to just take a moment and say that next level is what your next level is. We spend a lot of time really comparing ourselves to our friends, to what other people are doing in the industry, and feeling like we're behind and we're not doing as well as them. And the only important thing is, what does success look like to you? How does a successful life feel to you? What kind of things do you get to do outside of work that allows you to have a business and a life too, which is so incredibly important. And we're going to kind of be talking a little bit about that today, is that balance. But what does that success look like to you? And what does that next project level look like to you? Because you can spend days and hours and years in the comparison game. You could definitely do that. But how is that helping you? It's just making you feel like garbage and making you feel like you're not good enough and continuing the cycle of, I don't deserve these next level projects. So why don't we get away with, throw away that idea of, let me see what everyone else is doing and just focus on what's going on in your own business. And we're going to be talking about that. And it's actually called the upper limit problem. And we're going to be talking about that because I just started reading for the second time a book. But all of these things that go on in our heads about what other people are doing and how are they, looking more successful compared to me, and why can't I get jobs like that, and why is it so hard for me and so easy for them? This is what one of the big things that we talk about in the Luxury Client Academy is, I help you see how you're qualifying clients and who you're getting your leads from. Where are you spending your time to nurture those leads? And then how to create those boundaries in your business so that you can get the larger projects, so you can have clients that don't burn you out, so that you can start to make money a lot easier. So for the second time, I'm actually reading this book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And if I have read this book once before, and this is my second time, and I haven't finished it the second time, but I have to tell you that it is so incredibly enlightening. And I think this time around, I have gotten different things out of the book than I got the first time. And I think part of that is that you're in different parts of your life when you read a book like this. And I think for me, it's going to be something that I put on my New Year's list of reading, my January reading every year, because it is that good. And it's really helping me with a lot of things that are going on in my own head, in my own business, kind of understanding why I do things the way I do. And I would highly recommend that you check this book out and give it a quick read. So the second time, I'm getting a lot of different items out of it. I'm diving a little bit deeper into what's going on in my own psyche. But one of the things that they talk about, and the big idea of the book, is that in order to take this great leap in your life, you have to get through the ceiling that you're used to. And they term it the upper limit problem. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the upper limit problem is sort of an inner thermostat. And it's a setting that determines how much love and success and creativity you're allowing yourself to enjoy. So what happens is when we exceed that inner thermostat, sort of that place that we've always been, that comfortable area that we are in our, in our business and our life, once we bump up against that thermostat and try to go above it, we often do something to sabotage ourselves to make sure that we drop back into what our brains know as comfortable and familiar. And a lot of times that can really hold us back into places that we want to go, areas that we want to expand, bigger projects, more projects with more responsibility that are more high profile. You could be experiencing this upper limit problem yourself in terms of not being able to break through that ceiling or that area of, smaller projects and smaller budgets. So why is this important? Well, this inner thermostat could be holding you back when it comes to, going to the next level in your business. And it's so interesting to see how this can show up. And I know it's showing up for you guys because I talk to designers all the time. I'm a designer myself, and I'm just like, yep, that's me. Yep, that's them. Yep. There are, some common upper limit like manifestations that come about when you're really bumping against your ceiling. So see if any of these resonate with you. There's a few more in the book, but I want to go over the ones that I think might be showing up for you. So the first one is worry. Yeah, we love to worry about what could go wrong. And, some of the common thoughts are, I'm going to mess this up. They're going to instantly see I'm not qualified to do this. What if something goes terribly wrong? What if? I think what if is and then fill in the blank. I mean, there's so many details and so many things that we do in interior design, even in comfortable projects, right? We try to push it a little bit because we want to do some things that are interesting to us. We obviously don't want to do the same types of details over and over and over again, although they're very comforting because now we know, right, what's involved. But if you're doing tile plans for the first time, or you're doing a new fireplace detail, or you're trying an idea on the ceiling that you've never done before, instantly we go to, basically like, am I going to look like I know what I'm doing? Are they going to think that I'm dumb? What if I ask questions? How is that going to look to them? All of these things, they all come up over and over and over again. So worry is a big one, right? Second one is fear. And that generally comes out with designers is, I don't have enough experience. I need to get more experience before I could take on a project like that. I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to cause lots of problems. The clients are going to know that I don't know what I'm doing, all of these things. These fears keep coming up over and over again. I can't take on that big of a project because I've never done that before. How many times have you said that or just been really worried about that, worried about taking on a project that you've never done before? The third one is called criticism and blame. So you could be criticizing other people and saying, well, they're not doing their job, or they don't know what they're doing, that kind of thing. And it's keeping you, but you're not willing to either find another resource that might be better because, again, afraid to maybe go to a better quality builder or contractor because then you're like, well, they're not going to think I know what I'm doing, going back to the fear or the worry. Or this is an interesting one. Self-criticism is a big upper limit problem. So how many times a day do you tell yourself, well, that was a dumb way to approach it, or how could I have done it that way, or what was I thinking there? We are our own worst critics. So having criticism of ourselves is also a manifestation of this upper limit problem. So we have to really be working on that. This fourth one I thought was really interesting. Is called deflection, which is avoidance. Yes, avoidance of conflict, avoidance of that altogether, but not only conflict, but compliments. How many of us hide or downplay our achievements or your accomplishments because you see them as boastful, or it feels uncomfortable, or maybe a little bit, sort of icky to you to be like, well, I did this and I did that. So that can be a real issue with you getting yourself to the next level because you're not owning your accomplishments. You're not seeing yourself as qualified. You're not realizing that, yes, you can do this. And how about this? When you receive a compliment, I used to do this quite a bit. So I can definitely relate to this. When you receive a compliment, do you pretend it didn't happen and then just continue the conversation? So someone gives you a compliment and in saying, maybe you might go, uh-huh, and then move on, right? Go past it. Or you say thank you, but then qualify it with a but, meaning, okay, yes, you did a great job. Thanks, but I wish I had done it this way, or I wish, I had known this X, Y, and Z, instead of like sitting with the compliment and letting it sink in and being grateful for that and letting that good feeling continue. This is what happens with this upper limit problem is we just want to keep ourselves in this safe place where we don't get nervous or fearful or worried or go outside our comfort zone, things that we've never done before. But guess what? We're going to have to. If we want to grow and if we want to get bigger projects and do things that we've never done before, then guess what? We're going to have to do things we've never done before. And that's why I'm here to help you, to encourage you, to give you the benefit of my 30 years experience, to give you my knowledge of the industry and how to charge and all of that, to help you move forward. So spotting these things, worry, fear, criticism, and deflection can be a huge help in moving you through where you are now and where you want to go in your business. But as I mentioned before, it can be really hard to see when you're doing these things because also too, we've been doing it for years. It's just a pattern. It's a normal part of the way we're wired in our lives. So it's really hard to see sort of our own blind spots, and it's difficult to do that on our own. And you may have gotten some great projects, but then you kind of like retreat back to what you've known or gotten success with before. And that could be the size of projects, the design fees, the markups, because you know it works. And going into something that's outside your comfort zone has you fearful and worried that you're going to lose the job because you need the money, because you need the project. Sometimes you don't even need the project, but you're fearful of that, of losing it, because it seems like we should never want to turn an opportunity away or push an opportunity, farther out and say, I have a wait list or it's going to be a few months. We never, ever want to say that. But I think not saying that is keeping us in these, these cycles where we're working, working, working. And then we look up and we're like, oh my God, I need something in the next week or the next 2 weeks. So when the phone rings, you're like, yep, I'll take it. And you haven't done any qualifying. So I can't tell you how many times the designers in my coaching group would talk about charging a certain amount or being too afraid to go after bigger projects because they felt underqualified in some way. I've never done it before. I need to get more experience. I don't know how to do this. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid to ask any questions. I'm always a big proponent of, we try to do, this comes up so much. Well, what do you think the contractor means when they say this? Or what do you think the homeowner means when they say X, Y, and Z? And so many times I go to them and say, well, why don't you ask them? Why don't you ask them, hey, I don't understand where you're coming from here, or what do you mean by this? Can you give me some more information? Or are you looking for this, or can we talk about it? And it seems so simple, but we're so afraid as designers to look like we don't know and that we don't have all the answers. But these are conversations that are so incredibly important because I don't know what the builder is thinking when he tells you, that he wants you to give a price for this project. I don't know if he set aside a certain budget. I don't know if he thinks it's only for this part or that part. Why don't you ask and say, hey, I just need a little clarification on this. Where are you coming from on this? Can we talk about it? I'd like to obviously give you a great solution, but I'd like to see where your head's at on this. What's been your experience? How have you done it in the past? Anything like that. We're so afraid to ask clarifying questions. Even though we don't know the answers or we have no idea, we're just speculating. So much speculation happens in our business because we're just afraid to say, hey, could we talk about this a little bit more? I have some questions. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I'd like to see where you're coming from. So much easier instead of speculating what you think they're thinking. So there's a big piece of advice there. And yeah, they just feel like designers just think they're going to be found out as if they don't know anything. And God forbid you should ever ask a question or ask for a clarification on something. We need to be more open to that, hey, we can do that. I have some more questions. Let's clarify. Let's talk about it. Let me find out where your head's at, what you're thinking. And so, yes, I need more experience. I've never done that before. I don't know if I could charge that much. Ooh, that's a big one. But having somebody like me that knows what you're capable of, knows where the market can bear in terms of markups and fees, knows that you can't go to the next level unless you push yourself outside of what you've done previously. If you want to do whole house and you've only done one room, at some point you're going to have to do 2, 3 rooms or a whole house. I mean, there's just no getting around it. And it's really not that big of a leap, to be honest with you, because you're really just taking those building blocks, one room, and just stacking them into multiple rooms. So it's really not that big of a leap, but we make it a big leap in our own minds. And that's why somebody like me is like, you can do this, right? I can help you. We can work through it. You have somebody that you can call to ask when you get stuck or freaked out. I was seriously in a situation just this past week where I was applying to some speaking opportunities, and I knew my brain was just, oh man, I was bumping the ceiling big time. Upper limit problem central. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. They're asking all this information, and I was just making it into something bigger than it really was. And I knew it was happening. So here's like the great thing. If you read the book, you start to recognize when you're hitting your ceiling and your brain is trying to keep you safe. Like, you don't need to do this. Don't put those applications in. You're not qualified to do this. This is really hard. I don't know. Do you want to spend an hour filling out this application? Is this really what you want to do? Or you just want to be like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. because that's way easier, right? So I picked up the phone and called my coach and I was like, I'm hitting it. I'm hitting the wall. You got to help me through. Talk me through it. And it literally was a 10-minute conversation because I knew in one part of my brain I was stopping myself, but in the other part was taking over, right? The worry, the fear. And that's what I want for you, is start to recognize all the great things that are happening in your business, all the strides you're making, the capabilities that you have as a designer, and know that you can take it to the next level. So that's what I'm here for. That's what we do in the Luxury Client Academy. We help you get to your next level. And I have seen it over the last year. I have pushed all of my clients into areas they never even dreamed possible. And they've said that. I never thought this was possible. And this is what I'm hearing day in and day out now. It's a smaller project, just a $30,000 design fee. This is what I heard last week. And I had to stop and say, did you hear what you just said to yourself? It's kind of a smaller project, it's just 30,000. Whereas before, a smaller project would have been 5,000. And they don't even realize how far they've come, right? The other thing I heard was, I've just doubled what I've ever charged before in my life. And I was on the call with a designer, and she went, yeah, she said, oh, I got the $24,000 design fee, and I'm looking at these 9 things and this, that. And I said, whoa, 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 let's stop. You got a $24,000 design fee? And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, isn't that the biggest one you've ever gotten to date? See, this is deflection, right? Deflection. And she's like, well, yeah, it is the biggest one I've ever gotten to date. And then I said, well, what's the biggest one you've gotten previously? And she said 12,000. And I went back to her and said, well, you just doubled the biggest design fee you've ever charged and was awarded the project. And we just sort of glossed over it and went to all the small discovery calls that you have that are not jobs you want, that aren't, clients don't have the budgets you want, but you just glossed over that. You've just deflected that amazing accomplishment in your business. Let's sit with it for a minute. You're worried about worry. See, worry. You're worried about 5 or 6 opportunities that are just designer for a day opportunities, a lot smaller, working really hard to get clients to even call you back to talk to like book those projects. But that's what we're spending our time on. The 5 or 6 projects that are too small, you don't want to do, that don't have the budgets, but we're going to gloss over the $24,000 design fee that we just got. No, sit in it. Sit in it. Love yourself for that. Give yourself a pat on the back. That's incredible. And be aware that if you can get a $24,000 design fee when all you've ever charged is 12, look at that. That means you're capable. You can do it. It can happen. And that's the thing that I see so often, is that we're looking at all this shit that's going wrong and not paying attention to what's going right. It's an incredible opportunity. So again, so powerful. So that was, I just doubled what I've ever charged in my entire life. These are things that I'm hearing every day now. The old me would have charged $5,000 for design, but the new me wrote the proposal for $10,000 and they accepted it. Oh, what an awesome thing to hear. Oh my God, the old me would have just thrown a little design fee out there in the hopes that they just went away. And now the new me's like, oh, hell no. I know that if I'm going to take this project, and I know sometimes we take projects because, hey, we got bills to pay. I get it. And we do evaluate projects on multiple factors. 1, yes. Do we want the project? Yes, that's a factor. Is it good money? Yes, total factor. 3rd factor is, do I need the money right now? Do I need to pay some bills? Is there something going on? And yeah, that's a factor. Real life talk here. Sometimes we take projects that maybe are not the most wonderful, ideal projects in the world. They're not all going to be home runs, but we take them because we need them, because it's cash flow, because we have to pay our employees, because we see a dip in our, in our calendar of what's being booked. It's real talk time, right? But this designer said, if I'm going to take this project, because she has a fair amount in her pipeline right now, if I'm going to take this project, then I'm going to be happy about what I'm getting charged. I'm not what I'm charging. I'm not going to give my soul away and be married to these people for months and months and months and make no money. So, yes. And then they accepted it. Hallelujah. So, yeah, you might be taking on a less than ideal project, but you're getting compensated for it. That sort of lessens the blow a little bit, doesn't it? So, all of these things, charging bigger fees, charging the most you've ever gotten, charging a fee that makes it worth your time. This all came from being in this group that shows you what's possible and encourages you to step out of your comfort zone, bolsters your confidence, allows you to have that experience going, can I really do this? Can I charge this? Yes, you can. You can't get better if you don't venture out into new territory. And again, this is what we talk about in the Luxury Client Academy. You and I work together. We clarify your plan about the next level clients that you want, and we triple your profits in the next 9 months. And we're part of those bi-weekly calls. We got those check-ins, lots of accountability, lots of emotional support as well, where, you call, and I've had these calls where 1 week everything's like amazing. And then 2 weeks later when we talk, they're like, I'm freaking out because everything's falling apart. I get it. That's what I'm here for, is to really help you keep that even keel, keep that perspective, understand where you're spending your time, and creating those meaningful relationships so that you can get better projects on a much more regular basis. So there's a couple bonuses that I'm including in the Luxury Client Academy as well, which is an in-depth business audit. We go through all the items in your business. We see where your leads are coming from, how much money you're making, of course, and how you've been showing up in other places, like where are you networking and things like that. And we have the in-person Naples experience. I'm getting ready to set the dates for that experience for 2025. So you're not going to want to miss that, where we tour luxury homes, see what's happening in design here in Naples, Florida, which is an incredible location for, multi-million dollar, homes and projects. So it's really quite fun. And we get to do a boat tour of the 20 and 40 and $100 million homes that are here on the water, which is really, really cool. And of course, we get to hang out with other designers and talk business, talk what's going on, just, have a group of kindred spirits to talk to. So if you want more details about the Luxury Client Academy, you can go to episode 67 and hear all about it. Or if you'd rather read all about it, you can go to luxuryclientacademy.com. That link is in the show notes, so you don't have to write it down, but you can just go right there to the show notes and check out all the information there. And if you have any questions, of course, reach out. I would love to talk to you about what's going on in your business. But keep an eye on these upper limit, issues that come up, this worry, this doubt, this fear, the deflection. Think about how you're doing that in your daily work and be more mindful of it. And check out the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I think you'll really enjoy it, and it's very, very enlightening. And of course, if you pick up the book or if you've read the book, send me a note. I'd love to hear what your takeaways were on that. And thanks so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you staying to the end, and I love talking to you guys. So reach out, tell me what's going on in your business, and I'll see you next time. Take care.